Okay, so the shutdown is over, but I seen a lot of people talking crazy about Chuck Schumer. He said he sold out. He caved. A lot of different buzzwords about how he somehow did something wrong. But the people that are saying that he caved and all this other stuff are not the people who didn't get their SNAP benefits. Do you think they're complaining that Chuck Schumer so-called caved? You think they're complaining? Do you think the air traffic controllers who didn't get paid for a month and are looking to get back pay, do you think they're saying that Chuck Schumer caved, or are they happy that the shutdown is over? Now, first, you get people on here, commentators on YouTube. These people are making thousands and thousands of dollars a month, and their income is not tied to the shutdown. So, of course, it makes political, financial sense to say Chuck Schumer caved and jump on the bandwagon because, you want him to take some type of political stand or whatever. But, they don't think about, what it's like to, number one, live on SNAP, and number two, not to have your SNAP paid in a month. And you can have whatever opinions about who's on SNAP and whether or not they should be legitimately on SNAP or not. I mean, you can make that argument, but the fact of the matter is there are people on SNAP that depend on that. And then, you playing, political games, with people's finances that, I mean, you probably don't even know any of them, and you don't have a problem with that. And then you're going to say that, he should have continued to keep the government shut down because, he had some type of political, thing that he was trying to accomplish. Well, politics and real life is two different things. SNAP is one thing, and you can argue that, but we're talking about air traffic controllers. Do you know how many flights they had to cancel because they couldn't, it wasn't safe to fly because, some of these air traffic controllers are like, man, screw you. This ain't patriotism. Y'all playing games. If it was patriotism, then you would extend a lot of that stuff past the point of having to do it every year or every fiscal year and having to prove all this stuff and then having the same thing go on. It ain't the first time that the government's been shut down. It happens all the time. Every time they do that, there's a threat to shut down the government because you have people that are out here playing games, political games, when there's no consequences to the people who are playing the games. Every senator, every representative got paid their entire time the government was shut down. I remember back when there was some reason they shut the airlines down, right? I don't know if it was maybe, I don't know if it was COVID, or I don't know if it was 9/11 or something like that, right? I think Obama was in office, I believe. Matter of fact, he was. So I don't remember what the reason was, but they shut the planes down and didn't want nobody to fly until Congress needed to fly, and then they opened it up. It was crazy. So until it affects politicians directly, they could care less. You think they really, I mean, look at Trump. You think he really cared if anybody got their SNAP payments? No, because he had plenty of money to send to Argentina, but he had problems funding the SNAP benefits. Same thing with air traffic controllers. The fact that you would fix your mouth to say that there's a possibility that you don't get back pay. So you want somebody to work for free. Cost of living is high. People got mortgages and you don't know how much savings people's got and that kind of thing. If you're making good money, you should have a savings, but some people, they spend their money because they feel like, hey, I'm making it, I'm using it, I want to enjoy it. It's stressful and everything else, right? Because air traffic control is very stressful. So they were threatening to not give these people back pay. I mean, can you imagine going to work and then something happens and they say, okay, we're having a shortage of funds. Go ahead and continue to go to work. Don't call in sick either, because we're going to look at you crazy. And then there's a possibility you might not get paid for all this. You know what I'm saying? And they do it with a straight face. And you know why they do it with a straight face? Because they're not affected. People do stuff crazy when they're not affected. Look, I mean, the perfect example and the most recent example are all the people that voted for Donald Trump and are now crying about it, saying that I didn't vote for this. Yes, you did. You voted for all of that. You just didn't think it was going to affect you. And that's the same thing that goes on with these politicians. But I did see, a couple of these YouTubers talking about how Schumer caved and he got to go and all of that. You got, Hakeem Jeffries, he was, had a speech. I didn't really pay attention because look, what can you say? The government's open now. What are you going to, complain about how it was opened? You caved and, you should have held out for more or whatever. What you trying to hold out for? I mean, you gon' affect, I think it was 20 million people that, the healthcare, negotiations was going to affect. But there's way more people on SNAP, and then you combine that with the air traffic controllers, and then you combine that with the fact that people are actually losing money because let's say, they're canceling flights. And let's say you get on a flight, you got a connector, you get to the connector and the connector flight is canceled. So now, things are being affected by people that they're not even air traffic controllers. Like regular people are being affected. Like, I mean, hundreds and hundreds of flights were canceled. And that's crazy. All because of some political, negotiation, which look, it's going to happen again in 90 days. I think they only paid it up until January 30th. It's going to happen again. It's going to happen again. And guess who ain't going to care? These YouTubers and the politicians. So it's almost like, you have to be affected. Like it's crazy. It's like there's no empathy. So even like these YouTubers, right? Like you're not even involved with nothing. Like, you might be, high up on the YouTube totem pole in terms of political, analysis, but you're not really directly affected unless you fly, which you probably, I can't believe my flight was canceled. Then you're going to care. Then you're going to be like, okay, wait till this thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not going to care. You're not going to really have that harsh of an opinion about whether or not it was actually, open or shut down unless it affects you. Because look, the government, they opened the government. They's paying the SNAP now because the government's paid. They funded everything, and air traffic control is going to get back to normal in probably about a week. And you saying that Chuck Schumer caved. You don't get SNAP. You're not an air traffic controller who wasn't getting paid and who was threatened to not get back pay. You're not none of those. You know how I know? Because you're saying that Chuck Schumer caved. Look, he probably, I mean, who knows? And sometimes people do stuff for personal reasons, but listen, the government's open now and people are complaining because they didn't hold out long enough or whatever. And it's crazy because you trying to hold out with somebody else's money. Cause again, all these YouTubers that said that Chuck Schumer caved, ain't none of them missing no checks. Promise you that. So with that, check out my latest videos on here somewhere. Go ahead and check that out and see what we were talking about. I never remember because I'm always moving on to the next thing. But go back and check it because, you need to look at that. So with that, stop telling people they caved. Till next time. Take care.